This Corecon video segment explores the third option or method to add a prime contract invoice for a cost plus contract type. This is the most detailed method and is helpful if you have to select items or transactions individually instead of grouping by a transaction type or by cost resource or cost type. This method also allows you to apply a varying markup rate based on transaction type. Notice that we already have a project selected and a prime contract that is marked approved. Let's go into the prime contract and make one change. We're going to go down to the default markups on a cost plus prime invoice, and we're going to delete the second option, the profit and fee. We still want to charge a flat fee for overhead across all items, but we're going to apply the varying markup based on transaction type as we go. Again, this is the most detailed method of selecting items on a cost plus prime invoice. Back to contract admin. Also, there are a few settings that were discussed in a separate training video under Settings Overview. If we go to the Global Settings button, down to Feature Settings, and then to Contract Admin, you're going to see the second section of this is a way of formatting what the line items look like. We do recommend that you use similar formatted item descriptions to make the prime invoice readable to your customer, client, or project owner. Also, the reference should also be the same. So in this case, I've selected feature. That's how information can be grouped, but I could use any of the other options. Since I've selected feature under one, I've selected feature under all of these. I also can choose to include comments or not. Back to the contract admin. Down to prime invoices, we're going to go to actions and let's add manually. Most of the information fills in. This time we're going to bill everything through the 10th of the month. And even though you'd usually send this out as pending and wait for the customer, client, or project owner to approve before you mark it approved in your system, we're going to go ahead and mark this one approved. Then we'll click Save and Next. We discussed option A and option B in the previous videos. Option C allows you to select individual transactions and costs to include on your prime invoice, but it also incorporates the ability to add an optional markup based on the transaction type. So let's use option C for this example and click Next. As you can see, there's quite a bit more detail and ability to select options to bill. If you do not select any and they do remain billable, they will show up the next time you run this wizard. But notice that there is a markup by transaction type, in this case for bills. And so we've agreed with our customer, client, or project owner that we're going to add a 15% markup, and that will be in addition to the 7% overhead fee that we'll see at the end. We're also going to tag uploaded linked files and click Add and Next. Next, we're looking at sub-invoices. We're going to select one in this case, and sub-invoices, we're going to have a variable of 5% markup. We're also going to tag related linked files to this prime invoice and click Add and Next. Next is miscellaneous expenses. We're going to tag the linked files. We've agreed with our customer that on miscellaneous expenses, we're going to add a 10% markup on that transaction type and click Add and Next. Next is labor time cards. Let's assume we're only going to bill for those labor time cards that appeared in July. And at the bottom, we're going to import time card comments into the description and we're going to add a markup for that transaction type. Click Add and Next. Same with equipment time cards. We're just going to add a few, and then at the bottom, add the markup for that transaction type. Click Add and Next. Now we're going to apply the overhead. Note that we removed that profit markup because we added it, in this case, by transaction type. So we're going to add that 7% across all items, and then click Add and Next. You can edit the information that you just added. You can add additional items. The summary of what we just invoiced to the customer, client, or project owner appears at the bottom, as well as retainage. Then we're going to go up to Reports, Prime Invoice Details, and since we added markup by transaction type, let's take a look at the Prime Invoice Cost Plus with GMP items grouped by transaction type. It's also important to note that this is the same process for a Cost Plus with GMP contract or a Cost Plus without GMP contract. We'll select the Export option PDF so we can preview. There's a summary of everything on this invoice, the individual transactions, the default markup calculation at the bottom. This can also be emailed from the same location. If you'd like to know more about this method of adding Prime Contract Prime Invoice for Cost Plus contracts, this is method C. We encourage you to go to the help articles, go to Leads and Projects, down to Contract Admin, down to Prime Contract Invoice, to Cost Plus Prime Contracts, and near the bottom we discuss this option or method of adding expenses and time cards to a Cost Plus Prime Invoice.